Pete's a great guy. He's a Christian. He's one of us. He agreed to be on the show. So welcome on, brother. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
We just met at the Old Glory Club. You're one of the charter members of that. We're going to be talking about that and more. Give us a rundown of where you come from, who you are, all those good things.
Yeah, New York City originally. I live in the deep South and the rural South now. And started doing a podcast around 2017. Caught on. People seem to like it. And 7 years later, and actually this is July 2017. This will be 7 years this month. And yeah, just keep it on going. Try to put out something every day.
Wow. Yeah, I was looking at your Substack earlier. You are definitely prolific. You've had a lot of changing ideologies over the years. Although I talked to you for the first time in 2019, you really haven't changed all that much. Maybe you've always had monarchist type of leanings, but have you ever gotten any guff from people that you respect for changing your ideology or flip-flopping or anything like that? I've never thought that about you, but have you ever received that type of criticism?
From people I respect? No.
Okay, cool.
There's very few of those. I still hold pretty much true to the values that I had back then, except I realized that if we're going to have a world where we don't have gay pride parades with people standing in an inflatable pool in the middle of the street with guys on them, then we're going to have to be able to use the power of the state to crush people like that. There's no reason in any country, that should exist. And I saw that video on Twitter yesterday in San Francisco, in front of kids, in public. These people need to be in jail.
I feel physically ill after spending the day at San Francisco Pride. Now, I've been to quite a few Pride events, but this one was by far the most disturbing, and it was because there were nudists there that were fully in front of children, standing in a way to make sure that everybody saw their fully exposed. There were adults grabbing other people's and other adults. There was a zone in which people were on each other. So again, too, I'm shocked and horrified after experiencing this. Keep in mind that this is an all ages event. There were children present.
These people need to be in jail.
Yeah.
I mean, for life. And once I realized that if you're going to have order, you're going to have to implement that order with force, then the whole idea of libertarian non-aggression principle, the state is the devil kind of thing, just went out the window. It's like, I don't think the state's the devil. I want either my friends running it or at least a group that is indifferent to me and will leave me alone.
Many people that have become far right are former libertarians because it's just, I don't know, it sounds so nice. Everyone leave everyone alone. And I'll kick it over to Middle Mago, Cyrus here. What are your thoughts on, you said you're almost done with the libertarian thing. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I'm not even using the moniker libertarian because I don't know what they're about. Life is not a textbook. We are in a war right now. What does liberty mean when your opponent wants to celebrate depravity in the middle of the street? What does libertarianism mean at that point? What that was that we saw on X, I kind of wish they would put like a block on them or something. Was it just you? I was like, dude. I'm like, bro, I don't mind them putting it on there. I'm just like, wait a second, put a disclaimer. I wasn't even ready for all that. But that was a celebration of, I thought Pride Month was kind of quiet until last weekend. It was a celebration of the victors. You are losing the war if your enemies are celebrating in the street with children around. These are the ones that they would call your peers on a jury. No, hell no. And so as far as liberty, I love the ideals of libertarianism. They exist in the textbook. They exist in theory. I think populism is different than libertarianism, even though there's overlap. What I would define by is, this is the opposite, I think, of where you're going. I would define it by distributing power to as many people as possible. I think that solves this. The only people in this country don't support what we saw there. The only way that happens is someone has taken power, they've sucked the power away from the people, and they're concentrating it. So you're
pun intended, by the way. I'm sorry to say that, but my bad.
No, but my take is you can solve it that way. It's not pure libertarianism. But my concern is, how do you win the power struggle when people don't even, we're the only ones talking about it. It's only, and even, not even the only ones talking about it. There's other people talking about it, but in this way There's only so many people talking about it. You can't talk about it like this, even on like YouTube or whatever. How do you even take over to get your monarchy in place?
The conservatives will say, oh, that is so disgusting for a fourth grader. They'll never say, regardless of age or whatever, they'll say as long as there's consent and as long as it's at some arbitrary age, it's fine. That's why I've come to believe that conservatives, as far as making progress, not that I'm a leftist progressive, but I do want to make progress. Conservatives are, more in the way than any liberal or leftist ever has been, especially right now. But Pete, what do you think about, I don't know, Osiris, I kind of don't see the populism and libertarianism. You can have libertarian populism. You can also have far right populism, because what do you think about that distinction, Pete?
I don't think populism changes anything. I think populism is just a signal to elites that if they want to change something, if they want to make a move, that they can do it. Libertarianism to me is private property rights and is the non-aggression principle. And the non-aggression principle is great with your neighbor, but it doesn't work in politics. If you're using it in politics, then you're basically a cult. I think really the only way, historically, what we see is it's always a small group of elite people. It doesn't mean that they have to be the best of us. It doesn't mean that they have to be the smartest of us. It just means that they're the ones who are at this point willing to grab power and move it and influence it in any way it wants to go. It's always been like that. And even in monarchies, when you read about Spain, I've been reading a lot about Spain in the 15th century. The kings couldn't do anything without the nobles. Right. The nobles had to back them up. And those nobles, those are the elite, and they're pushing power. It's always elite. I'm an elitist. And I remember Tucker Carlson one. I have no problem with elites. I just want to have impressive elites. If you go back like 70 years, Elon Musk would be working in the government. The government would go to him and go, we need you. They would be pulling everyone in. Henry Ford was a government apparatchik. He was a businessman. He helped the government whenever he could. This is what all those guys did. Now, people in the government aren't even smart enough to know that they should go to an Elon Musk and ask them. Elon Musk has to go to them and get contracts from them in order to do the kind of business that he wants, because he wouldn't be able to do it without them. He wouldn't be able to do it without colluding with them in some way, shape, or form because of the regulatory body. So, and the managerial state. I think decentralization is great in saying that decentralization would mean that you'd break things up so that certain groups could rule over themselves. But then again, I only believe that certain groups that share the same values can actually exist in the same polity. The only purpose of power is to protect that polity, to make sure that no one infiltrates it and no one goes in there and starts doing gay pride parades and things like that. That is the function of power. I think, to me, when you're a libertarian, economics is everything. Economics has gone into is way down the line in importance for me now. I would rather live next to my closest neighbor. I know that they basically share the same values as me. That's more important to me than what they think about the Federal Reserve, or, I would hope they would realize by now the Federal Reserve is total garbage and a plot. But, still, they know that I don't worry about them breaking into my house. I don't worry about them coming onto my property. It's people who share values, and then whatever government you have has enough power to be able to make sure that those values stay intact.